Yeah, so today, this Vajra statement, in a way you could say, continues from the last Vajra statement. Yeah, so the last Vajra statement, statement 4, which basically says, if it is not in something's kind of established pattern, here they use the word fundamental nature. So of course, when we use vocabulary like fundamental nature, we might think, we're talking about essence. But here from the context, we know that, we're not talking about essence necessarily. What we're saying that everything, everything that, now even though, right, generally we say, everything in samsara is illusory nature, it's mistaken, it's so there's all these kind of usual characterizations of samsaric phenomena being mistaken, being erroneous, being illusory, being deceptive, all of that. Nonetheless, especially for Kyobpa Rinpoche, we should not think that therefore there is no rhyme or reason to how things manifest, how things appear, how things abide, and how things disappear. Because how things manifest, how things abide, how things appear, how things disappear, all of that, even though we say, samsaric phenomena is deceptive, is unreliable, is illusory, blah, 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 all of that, notwithstanding, still, fire arises due to a specific set of causes and effects. Water comes into existence due to a specific set of causes and effects. Now, I'm using examples of material phenomena. More importantly, happiness and suffering, virtue and non-virtue, also arises following its fundamental nature, so to say, which is the last statement, 6.4. So then the last statement says, like if it is not in its nature, if it is not in its fundamental nature, if it is not in the way, right, something's established way of coming together, way of manifesting, if it is not in its nature, you seeing it as so will not make it so. Right? So yesterday we covered that. Then now, Sherab Jungne puts this Vajra statement right after that Vajra statement, because here is one context in which the principle taught in 6.4 takes on a practical level, which is here Kyobpa Rinpoche advising us that when it comes to the Guru, when it comes to accepting someone as our spiritual guide, we have to be careful. So we can discuss, like why and all of that, So first, we have to be careful. Why? In this context here it says, a guide, a spiritual guide, who does not have the qualities, right, and the good qualities that you're looking for, if this particular spiritual guide doesn't have those qualities, then this guide have no ability then to give you what you want, to cause you to have those good qualities. So this is what this Vajra statement is basically saying. So translation, a guru who does not have the qualifications is not able to produce the qualities in the students who come to the guru hoping to hoping to develop those good qualities themselves. And so again, the Vajra statement, a guru who does not have the qualifications is not able to produce those qualities in his or her students. So here, before we look at Khenpo Kunpal's commentary, I think a few things, this is a very important point, this Vajra statement here. And we should talk about a number of things. In part, our context, and also then to try to understand the historical context, all of that. Right? So first of all, the notion of spiritual guides, in Sanskrit called gurus, in Tibetan called lama. Gurus and lamas, in fact the word guru in Sanskrit is used for, at least today, for someone like a supreme spiritual guide, all the way to school teachers, also called guru. Everything in between, so an apprentice, studying how to, weaving. So the master weaver is the guru for weaving. Someone studying the art of painting, the instructor is called a guru too. So first of all, understand that. Now, when it comes to the Tibetan word lama, they don't use it in such a broad range. Lama actually in the Tibetan material is reserved for spiritual guide. There are other Tibetan words like gegen. Gegen is like someone who teaches you good things. Gegen, for example. That word is used to refer to like school teachers and college teachers. Gegen. So it's like someone who teaches you good things, So in Tibetan, although the Tibetan word lama is the word used to translate the Sanskrit guru, but lama is reserved for spiritual guides. Furthermore, to point out, these days, it has become customary to refer to anyone dressed in robes as lama. So you go to Nepal, you see someone, in robes. You don't know, who they are. Maybe they actually have this academic title, Khenpo. Maybe they are a reincarnate lama, a tuku. Maybe they are a retreat master. So you don't know who exactly they are. Then politely, people might say, lama. So it's used more and more these days. Actually, I think like 20, 30 years ago, it's not like this. But now, in part because I think outsiders, non-Tibetans, non-Ladakhis, non-Burmese, non-Bhutanese, have kind of now started to turn up in all these areas, and then we don't know any better, and so we see anyone who is in robes and we say, "Hey Lama, how are you?" Actually, 20, 30 years ago, Lama is not used so lightly. And then again, depending on which region of Tibet, which lineage, they have different words or emphasis on how you use this word Lama. For example, like in the Gelugpa tradition, Lama is not so often used to just refer to anyone. So like in Gelugpa tradition, so some of the more famous teachers of the Gelugpa tradition in present time, right? Or one I'm thinking of passed away about a month and a half ago. Lama Zopa Rinpoche, the main teacher in the FPMT system, Lama Zopa Rinpoche. So when they call him Lama Zopa Rinpoche, the word Lama there is a very serious, used in a very serious way. In the sense of like a supreme guide, the Guru, Zopa Rinpoche, Lama Zopa Rinpoche. Why? Because in the Gelug tradition, this word Lama, they are still a little shy, to just simply use it for anyone. In fact, they call their founder, they refer to their founder as Lama Tsongkhapa. Lama Tsongkhapa. So when they refer to him as Lama Tsongkhapa, it's very different from us, saying, "Hey, Lama so and so, how are you today? I've not seen you for a long time. Where have you been?" So anyway, here the word used is Lama. In this Vajra statement. This Vajra statement doesn't have explicitly the word Lama, but it's referring to Lama. That means spiritual guide. Also, it should be it's also not just anyone, who is a monk or a nun or a ngakpa or not just anyone in robes is referred to as Lama. Here is spiritual guide. Here is someone that you go to study the Buddha Dharma with. And so here this statement says, as for these individuals that you go study the Buddha Dharma with, you should know, you should understand that if they don't have those good qualities that you're looking for, that you are looking to develop, you are not going to be developing those good qualities by studying with them, by training with them. First of all, this statement, I think, without thinking too much, too deeply yet, this statement should not surprise us at all. I think this statement is no different from saying, if you want to learn, right, weaving, don't come to me. I don't know how to weave. If you want to learn how to make jewelry, don't come to me. Go to Joyce. It's as simple as that, right? No controversy. No need to explain so much. It's basically just that principle. If you want to learn how to play football, soccer, go to someone who knows how to play football or soccer, and this person has to know how to play football or soccer at least better than you. So that those are the equivalent of the good qualities that we're talking about. If they are not more skilled than you in football, it makes no sense for you to go say, "Oh, I'm going to go train with this person now, how to play football." And so this statement here is on that level as simple as just saying that. But unfortunately, I think these days, on the one hand, when you look at especially, Vajrayana, Tibetan Vajrayana material, there's tremendous emphasis on relying on a guru, relying on a guru, relying on a guru. This has also created a lot of problems for us. We don't have the social context, historical context, cultural context. Most of us don't even know what a guru, what a lama is. Then when we hear, like, oh, it's necessary, it's necessary, it's necessary, then we kind of like rush to find one. Because we want so much, right? To get on the program and to get better. So then, when we hear a statement like this, and then on the other hand, there is also a lot of problems arising from this individual or that individual, not living up to what we expect, a spiritual guide to be. But often, right, if you don't know that person like face to face, if you have not spent significant time, and even if you spend significant time, it takes a long while, to really know that person. So for the most part, the persons that we know through the internet is a creation of the internet. Without anyone, even without needing to think anyone is manipulating things. It's just the interdependence. The dependent origination of the internet is a particular kind of dependent origination. It's ironic, now we're talking like this, we're on the internet, I think many of you I've known a while, okay, fine. But then there's also some who have only known me through this way of knowing, and there's very little that you can know because this is a particular dependent origination. This is a particular dependent arising. And you need to understand, what the internet has created. So think about that, right? Now, this statement need not be only applied to like when things go wrong. And then you say, see, Kyobpa Rinpoche already said, if the teacher have no qualities. Because sometimes we also use that, knowingly or unknowingly, right, to like denigrate individuals, other people, other teachers. That is also a mistake. So again, if we look at this statement without the bringing in the context of like abuse and things going wrong and all that, which happens, of course. But if we lay aside that, because this statement is not made with that as the context. This statement is simply back to that statement. You want to learn how to play football? Please find someone who not just have the skills of playing football, but also ideally have the skill of training you how to play good football. But fundamentally, it has to begin with, they need to know how to play football. Now, I use myself as an example, not because I think I can be a guru with that capital G to anyone. No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, like, even with just this kind of encounter, this kind of relationship, all this statement is saying is, so I use myself as an example, but with the footnote that I'm not at all thinking, I'm this capital G Guru, the supreme kind of spiritual guide, the Mahamudra spiritual guide. No. Yeah, in case there's any question of what I think or what I understand my role is. No, I'm not even talking about that. But what I am talking about is, if like you can get some good qualities out of studying with this person or that person. Yes, provided this or that person have those qualities. That's all. It need not be exaggerated. This topic is not easy, because then on the other hand you say, oh, but then the instructions in Tantra is to view whoever you're studying with as Vajradhara. Then you're like, well, what should I do with that? What you should do with that is not to think whoever is teaching you is Vajradhara, but rather Vajradhara is teaching you. Does that make any sense? That is a way. I know, like, the language itself maybe doesn't make a lot of sense, but the meaning, I think, will make sense, right? In other words, like, don't follow the person's don't follow the person's individual, flaws and all of that. Know how to relate to Dharma teachers, as in, my primary relationship with that person is a Dharma student with a Dharma teacher, and not let it like turn into other things. A friend, a therapist, admirer, a fan, and because again, the internet has created a hybrid where all these, the same way you like your favorite band, your favorite singer, your favorite actor, your favorite lama, your favorite cat, it's all just the same, like or don't like, Don't turn it into that. Don't turn it into that. If it deteriorates into that, then what a waste, of opportunity. So for me, this statement is also is not. The statement first is saying, you should know, it just common sense, If you want certain good qualities, whatever it is that you try to acquire, then look for someone, whom you have confidence, and how that confidence comes takes time, Don't rush. Really takes time. Now in the commentaries, it says, so take time, don't rush. And so take time and don't rush doesn't mean you don't connect, or you don't learn, or you don't do anything or get near that person. No, it means, then it's best to think, if you're taking classes or whatever that person, it's best to think, this is the Dharma, I'm studying the Dharma, and then no need to get, very kind of like, oh, this is my teacher, all of that. Just leave that alone. And don't go starstruck, like, oh, can I get your autograph, all that stuff. No. That's not appropriate, Can we have a Wi-Fi? Actually, no, don't do that, When we, of course, everything can be Dharma practice, but when in the first place we're not yet very clear what Dharma is or is not, and then we try to kind of blend it into everything, it'll just make it take forever, to learn what Dharma is and to let Dharma have impact into all areas of your life. That's why I personally, my experience is at the beginning, it's better to keep separate, Dharma is here now, then later, At the beginning, it's better to keep separate, Then, in a more organic way, in a more natural way, the more you gain confidence in what Dharma is, the more you're able to see the principles of Dharma and verify that, yes, this matches what I'm seeing, what I'm experiencing. Then slowly, understanding that in the end, Dharma does have to permeate all aspects of your life, then it can happen in a way that is not artificial. Like they talk about artificial devotion. Artificial also includes I like the image of a Dharma practitioner. I like the image of a kind person. I like the image of an enlightened person. So then instead of developing the qualities of a kind person, of an enlightened person, of a Dharma practitioner, what we try to do, what we end up doing is simply mimicking, right? The appearances. So this is also what the statement is saying. Don't mimic the appearance. Don't just end up spending all your time just doing changing clothes, putting on layers to look like a Dharma practitioner, to look like a kind person, to look like a wise person, to look like a calm person. But rather, we have to develop those qualities, and to develop those qualities, we have to find those individuals who they themselves have developed those qualities that we're looking for. But everybody, having said all of that, right? Everybody, in fact, with or without title of guru, right? So this is another footnote, have good qualities that I can aspire to. So then there is a broader context to this too, which Kyobpa Rinpoche definitely teach in other places. Like that one instruction that I shared during Kyobpa Rinpoche's anniversary Guru Puja. This one short teaching, he says, be like a honey bee, gathering nectar from all the different flowers without disturbing the flowers, without harming the flowers, without damaging the flowers. And so that was used as an analogy of you should fly around like a bee, extracting the good qualities of others without paying attention to their faults. Without paying attention to their faults is not to be a sucker, to be taken advantage of. Kyobpa Rinpoche is not teaching you that. Kyobpa Rinpoche is saying, yeah, you see, okay, there are thorns there. You see there's poison ivy there. I use the example of picking blackberries. Blackberries tend to grow where poison ivy also like to grow, It's not saying just pick the berries and don't pay any attention to what is around. Pay attention. Don't go rub your hand on the poison ivy. But also, don't feel like I need to now go destroy all the poison ivy. Pick your blackberries. Enjoy your blackberries. In a way, you could say, there is a symbiotic relationship between poison ivy and blackberries, Don't leave that alone. If you have to warn other people, so this is also very real, You can say, yes, there's blackberries there, but also see, see over there, that's poison ivy. And especially if you are very sensitive to poison ivy, maybe don't go pick the berries there. Maybe go to the supermarket and buy yourself a pint of blackberries. If you're especially sensitive to poison ivy. And then for someone else who's not so sensitive to poison ivy but still sensitive, and then they like the idea of picking their own berries, then you say, oh yeah, it's over there. But maybe you can say, oh, there is also a blackberry farm, where they have taken away the poison ivy. But then blackberry also have thorns, So that's the meaning of So this statement is not meant for us to go find faults. Now, in the commentary, in Khenpo Kunpal's commentary and in the longer commentaries, they quote some tantras to make this point. And this is not easy. None of this should, if you find some of these teachings like not agreeing with you, it's just normal, Not everything, upon the first or second or third or even 500 reading, would make sense to you. But nonetheless, we want to not throw it out, we want to kind of be aware. They say in the commentaries, they say, now, if you started with this or that or that or that or whatever number, 1 or 2 or more, whatever, doesn't matter, individuals as Dharma teachers, then later on, you find that they don't have the good qualities that you want. Then now you move on to another teacher. Right? Which happened a lot, I think, in Kyobpa Rinpoche's day, for sure. In fact, even the great masters, they not all, but many of them did that too, They started with one place, one tradition, and then they ended up somewhere else, So that was a reality then, and it's a reality now. Here, the advice is this. You cannot deny the teacher that you at one point trained with, studied with. You cannot do that, or rather, maybe cannot is not the right word. You should not. You should not. This is not easy again, again with all these problems with teachers and teachers' conduct and abuse and all of that. Where is that line between, right, accountability, protecting others from harm, right? And especially when you have an organization, and then an organization has responsibilities to people who are involved with the organizations. All this is actually very, very complicated in a way, yeah, when we factor that in. But here, the basic principle is, it's not so much talking about abuse. The basic principle here is talking about the natural or the normal situation whereby when you first started, it's inevitably, you might consider someone to be, oh, this is my guru, this is a Buddha, all of that, because you're encouraged to do that, right? Then later when you learn more and more, you're like, oh, actually they don't know that much. The point of the commentary when they say you cannot deny them is to say, don't feed this habit of whenever you find someone better, have more good qualities, right? You should not have the attitude of, I'm abandoning the ship. Don't do that kind of. Yes, you can say, now I need to train with this other teacher now. Yes, you can even say, or feel, I have excelled this teacher in terms of the qualities. Maybe you can even say that, but you should not then be proud and look down on. Yeah. In this situation, the commentaries, again, for us, we cannot help but think about, what about it's an abusive teacher? That I don't know, what the answer is, really. What I'm saying is that in these commentaries, when they say you cannot do that, you cannot denigrate your previous teachers because you have moved on, they're talking about, like with the attitude of like, well, I have more qualities now. You actually turn out to be kind of inferior. Now I have a better one. They don't want you to do this thing. Because once you do this, right, it's sort of like, how long would it take before you abandon the next one that you have found? How long before, and that will undermine your own growth. That's why they advise against that. So in the commentaries, one example was given. Someone came to Pamo Drupa, Jigten Sumgon's teacher, and asked for instructions. So then Jigten Sumgon, then Pamo Drupa gave instructions to this individual. But the individual was not able to bring about any results in engaging those practices that Pamo Drupa gave him. So no matter how hard he tried, it was just not coming together. So then Pamo Drupa knew that there was some kind of obstacle. So this is the wisdom that we're talking about yesterday, This is the real wisdom. So Pamo Drupa called the person and said, let me ask you something. Before you came here, you studied with other people, right? And that's very natural, Many people are like that, Jigten Sumgon's time now, So you studied with someone else, right? And this person said, yes, I did. And he said, how did you end that relationship? Then I think this student said, well, fine. I mean, I left, So in this case, this student wasn't even like, angry, left, And so again, this example, no suggestion of the last teacher behaved badly or anything, it's just maybe you have outgrown, so to say, right? Which can happen, of course. Otherwise, then Pamodripa said, you think carefully, what else, is there anything there? And then this student said, oh, actually, I had some land. I think it was land. I don't remember the exact story. So the student said, actually, I had a little land which I offered to this previous teacher. Then it took a while, to sell that land. But by the time I was able to sell it, I felt that, he didn't have, the qualities that I was looking for. So I left him. I moved on, Then Pamodripa said, what did you do with that money of that land? I said, well, actually, I offered it to you. To Pamodripa. Pamodripa says, okay, now here, here, take this back, whatever you gave me. And the student said, well, what should I do? Then the student said, this other Lama has already passed. Pamodripa says, you take this, find his closest, whether it's a disciple or family member. So apparently this person found that this Lama had like some sisters. So he went and he gave what he promised to the sisters. Then came back and said that from that point on, whatever Pamodripa gave him, he practiced, the results came. Yeah? You see this story, Again, I know it's a lot more complicated if you feel like you have been harmed by the last person or some past person. That is a lot more complicated. I don't have simple answers, and I don't think, in a public teaching like this, anything said can apply to the specifics. Yeah? That is much more complicated. But here we're trying to learn basic principles. Yeah, so hopefully this story, right, can help you understand this principle of how you should treat teachers that you have studied with, whom at one point you admired, you saw good qualities in them, but after a while, for whatever reason, either you feel that, oh, I have gained that, now I need to move on, to continue my training, to deepen my training with someone who is more developed, how you should treat those teachers in the past, promises that you have made to them, you need to honor those things. Because in the end, right, it is about our own minds. If it is hanging over you, then that's the meaning of obstacle. Yeah, there is a block to what you try to advance here when you have unfinished business from there. So also don't do that. So this is all in the commentaries. But the commentary, some stated very strongly. Maybe, we find it a little hard, But basically, that's what it says. So Khenpo Kunpal, page 225. First of all, one must analyze the guru and then either accept or reject them. Otherwise, when one has established a Dharma connection with them, even if they are not qualified, and not qualified is never absolute, not qualified enough for you. It's not like there's a universal line of what qualifies means, right? So if even if they are not qualified, you must please them with respect. You have to treat them with respect as if they were qualified. If one does not do that, even if you follow another actually qualified teacher with respect, those good qualities that you're looking for will not arise in your own mind stream. And so this is what it means, yeah? And it says, and you will go to the lower realms. Okay. And frankly, I don't know what to do with, language like this. When I know better, I will share with you. But the basic principle, I don't have any questions or problem with what it's saying here. Then it gives some advice, 6.5, quoting this great Nyingma master, Longchenpa. Khenpo Kunpal himself is from the Nyingma lineage, So he wrote this commentary. So then he quotes Longchenpa. He says, in terms of looking for teachers, right? Someone who wants luxury and fame is not a good guru. Someone who has great grasping to wealth is not a good Dharma practitioner. Someone who is mainly concerned with social affairs is not a good monastic. Someone who believes in a self and therefore is biased, with I like these people, I don't like these people, these are my friends, these are my enemies. This is not a good yogi. Remember the yogi, the word yogi in Tibetan, Naojorpa. Naojor means suggests like unified. So this is a kind of a play of words here. Yeah, that in translation doesn't come across so clearly. So if you have this separation of self and other, how can you call yourself someone who is unified? The last line is saying that. So the second to last line, if you're mainly concerned with still social affairs, the affairs of the world, how can you call yourself, here is translated as a good monastic, but the literal, I don't know the Tibetan, but I suspect the literal word there is someone who has gone forth. Meaning you have decided, I'm going to go out of social affairs. Then if you're still busy with social affairs, meaning, what does that mean? That actually, it means, politics, economics, all of that stuff, the way of the world, And the way of the world, there is not saying that it's not important, but it's just saying now it's no longer your job. Yeah? Who is being sued by whom? Who is right? Who is wrong? It's not saying that there is no right or wrong, It's saying, but it is saying when you have become someone who has gone forth. That's the literal meaning of probably here what's translated as monastic. Someone who has gone forth. This is the original term. In Pali it's pabaja. Someone who has gone forth. So if you have gone forth, then you're still busy. Then it doesn't match, So someone who wants luxury and fame is not a good guru. Now, of course, we also should appreciate how sometimes it's hard to tell. Just because someone seems to like luxury and fame, is it 100% that they're not a good guru? Not necessarily so, but nonetheless, be cautious. Because it could be an internet persona that you are in love with, that you're following as a guru, and not the actuality of who that person is. Maybe who that person is even better. Recently, right, you have seen how volatile internet, right, personality is with regards to His Holiness the Dalai Lama. My teacher said at the end of the day, nothing has changed for His Holiness. But people's perception, who they fell in love with through the media, through the internet, who they admire, that image got tarnished. As for the person, Tenzin Gyatso, I mistakenly say something, like, oh, His Holiness must be suffering now. Not so okay. I didn't say suffering. I said, maybe not so okay now. Then my Lama said, yeah, he's okay. But the people who like and don't like him, not so okay right now, he said. Both the people who like and the people who don't like, they are not so okay now. They are upside down. One side have to defend, one side have to attack. See how volatile, when we talk about admiration and devotion. Between one day and another day, everything can change, In that sense, nothing is reliable. It doesn't mean, then okay, finish, we are all done. We cannot rely on anything. No, it just means take the Dharma to heart, In the end, what you have is your own mind, your own heart. Change that. Purify that. So then longer commentaries on this, talking about this topic of the Guru also says, and in the next Vajra Statement, it will address that, and then in the Chintamani, some of you received those teachings recently from Khenchen Rinpoche, it says that there are two interdependent conditions for realization to arise. Your own merit and your Guru's guidance. Then furthermore, your own merit and your Guru's guidance, there's also an interdependence there, as in, the more you increase your merit, your purification, then the more qualified, the more suitable Guru will turn up for you. So what that means also is don't spend your time running around. Which Guru? Take the Dharma. Change your own mind. That's accumulating wisdom. Develop compassion, develop loving kindness. That is the true merit. And the more you do that, then the right guide will come. Right for you. Qualified for you. Then healthy, helpful, mature relationship between you and your guide will develop. It's an interdependence. Trust that. So today, it's just some random thoughts on this topic. Not an easy topic, but essential topic to sharpen our understanding. Maybe one more quote, This is from the big book. Really, if you want to really kind of look at all the dimensions, so far this is the most in one of the old commentaries, commenting on this Vajra statement, an interesting quote from Jigten Sumgon as well. So this is to remind us, the Vajra statement doesn't stand on its own. You have to also look at everything else, So don't be like fundamentalists, whether fundamentalist Christian or fundamentalist Buddhist, because what fundamentalists do, in the negative sense of fundamentalist, although the term should not be negative, fundamentalist means we follow the fundamentals, right? But you know what I mean, right? Fundamentalist, right? The stereotype, the caricature of a fundamentalist is that they will quote, a scripture and say, "Well, there it says that." Yeah, but that statement lives in a forest of statements. You cannot just point at one tree and say, "Look," and think, okay, now you have the forest. No, it's only one tree in a forest of trees. If you want to talk about the forest, you need to look at all the trees. The more you understand about each tree, each weed, each bush and everything, the more you can understand what the forest is. Yeah. So here, this interesting quote from Jigten Sumgon. We don't follow the opinion that a contamination arises through devotion to an inferior guru. Like what? Yes, this helps us understand this statement better. So here, he's saying, Kyobpa Rinpoche is also not saying, right, that you become contaminated when you follow an inferior guru. He's also not saying that. You're like, what does that mean? Don't be so quick to... I may give you an answer that will satisfy you now, but don't settle for that. Yeah, let your own experience. Yeah? It's okay, to bring contradictory things and hold them together for a while, because through your own experience, you may be able to see what this is pointing to. So it says, we do not follow the opinion that contamination occurs through devotion to an inferior guru. We also do not follow the opinion that harm arises from making offerings to such an inferior guru. And we also do not follow the opinion that looking at something that is not not desirable, so the word used here is bad. We also do not follow the opinion that looking at the bad as something good is wrong view. What? Kyobpa Rinpoche also taught these three. This is not logic. This is speaking to matters of the heart. When it's appropriate, we should warn ourselves against kind of settling with, content with, investing our time, with teachers who don't have the good qualities that we're looking for. Because there's another aspect to that phenomena, What is it? Actually, this person is no longer our teacher. This person is our enabler. You know what I'm saying? Because it's very comfortable around them. Right? Oh, he's just like us. Yeah, yay! Then both you and that person will stay stuck. So another reason why, right? who you relate to as a guru, you have to be able to see that they have good qualities that excels you, to challenge you, not to put you down, to challenge you to acquire those same qualities yourself. So if you just stay with someone because they make you feel comfortable, well, then that is someone else. That's something else. That's not a guru. That's another reason, you know. So anyway, yeah, this quote, you know, very interesting, you know. Chanchu sem choren poche ma ge pa nam ge gyuche ge pa nyam pa me pa ya gong ne gong du be see you all tonight if you are doing the Dharmakirti program. If not, continue class tomorrow. Yeah. Bye bye.